The night was calm on the edge of the quiet planet. A research station stood alone, built by human hands to study the rocks, the winds, and the strange signals that came from deep space. Inside the small building, a young man named Aaron sat in front of a glowing console. He was checking readings from the ground scanners, drinking lukewarm water, and humming to himself to fight the silence. Life in the station was not easy. Aaron had no one to talk to most days. Supplies arrived once a month, and the rest of the time he had to live with his own thoughts. Still, he liked the work. He liked the stars above him and the idea that he was part of something bigger. Humans had started to reach new worlds, and Aaron believed he was helping open doors for the future. That night, the scanners showed something unusual. A faint movement appeared outside, close to the barren hills. At first, he thought it was an animal. The planet had small creatures, but nothing large. The reading was different though. It was tall, heavier than any of the local life. Aaron's heart began to beat faster. He rubbed his eyes and checked the screen again. The signal was still there. He stood up, pulled on his jacket, and grabbed a small light. His training said to stay calm, record the event, and wait for backup if it was unknown. But curiosity was stronger than fear. Aaron stepped out into the cold night air. The wind brushed across his face, carrying fine dust. The stars shone brightly in the black sky. His boots crunched softly on the hard ground as he walked toward the signal. Then he saw her. A figure stood at the edge of the station's lights. She was taller than him, her skin reflecting silver under the stars. Her eyes glowed faintly, like pools of liquid light. She did not move at first. She seemed nervous, almost shaking. Aaron froze, unsure of what to do. He had never seen another being like her. She did not look like any animal, nor like the images of alien species that human records spoke about. The figure raised a hand slowly. A device on her wrist clicked, and a broken mechanical voice came out. The words were simple and heavy with static. "Please listen. I need to bond with you." Aaron felt his mouth go dry. The words made no sense to him. Bond? What did that mean? He stepped back a little, ready to run if she attacked. But she did not move closer. She only trembled, as if afraid of him. He forced his voice to stay calm. "Who are you?" he asked. "Why are you here?" The figure lowered her head. The device crackled again. "I am Nira. My people, we are fading. We cannot survive without bond. You are human. You can help. Please." Aaron blinked. He had trained for many things, but not for this. An alien asking him for help was not in any handbook. He wanted to run back inside, call Earth, and wait for experts. But when he looked at her, he saw fear in her glowing eyes. She was not a monster. She was desperate. "Why me?" he asked carefully. The translator gave a broken answer. "Because you, human heart, strong. We studied from far. We know. You can bring back what is lost." The words shook him. He was just a worker, not a leader or a scientist. Yet this being stood in front of him, asking for something he did not understand. Silence filled the air. The wind blew harder. Nira's silver skin shimmered under the light, and she pressed a hand against her chest as if she was in pain. Aaron felt a pull in his chest too. He did not know why, but he felt she was telling the truth. He took a slow breath. "All right. Come inside. You look like you need rest." Her glowing eyes lifted toward him. For the first time, she moved closer, each step careful and soft. Aaron led her into the station. The doors closed behind them with a hiss, sealing out the cold night. Inside, Nira looked around with wonder. She touched the walls, the lights, and the hum of the machines. Her translator whispered broken words: "Warm, safe, human place." She seemed both amazed and nervous. Aaron gave her a chair, though she sat stiffly, unused to the shape. He poured water into a cup and handed it to her. Nira stared at it, then copied his motion, sipping slowly. The glow in her eyes dimmed a little, like a sign of relief. Aaron sat across from her. He still did not know what bonding meant or why she had come. But he knew one thing. His life at the station would never be the same again. He was no longer alone. A being from the stars was here, asking for help, and somehow he had become the center of it. The night stretched on. Machines hummed quietly around them. Nira watched him closely, as if trying to understand every move he made. Aaron felt her gaze but did not look away. The universe was full of unknowns, yet in that moment, two beings from different worlds sat together in a small room, sharing silence and waiting for the first step of something new. The small research station was quiet except for the hum of the machines. Aaron sat across from Nira, still unsure what to say. She was unlike anything he had ever seen. Her silver skin reflected the dim light of the room, and her glowing eyes seemed filled with both sadness and hope. The broken voice of her translator was the only bridge between them. For a long time, they sat without speaking. Aaron's mind raced with questions. Who were her people? Why was she here? What did she mean when she spoke of bonding? Finally, he decided to break the silence. You said your people are fading. What does that mean? Nira pressed a hand against her chest, right over the spot where a human heart would be. Her voice came out through the translator, halting and uneven. Our bodies grow weak. Our spirits empty. Long ago, we lived with bond. It gave us strength. It gave us purpose. But now it is gone. Without it, we cannot last. Aaron frowned. And you think humans can help? Why? Her glowing eyes fixed on him. We have watched from far. Humans are different. You still know how to connect. You laugh together. You cry together. You trust. We lost this long ago. We only survive, but we do not live. Without bond, my people will end. The words struck Aaron deeply. He had never thought about simple human habits, smiling, laughing, helping each other as something powerful. To him, it was just life. Yet for Nira, it was something lost, something her people needed to survive. He leaned back in his chair. I'm not sure I understand how I can help you. I'm not a leader or a doctor. I'm just a worker here. Nira shook her head. Not leader. Not doctor. Human. That is enough. Her voice cracked as the translator struggled to keep up with her language. Aaron saw her trembling again. She seemed so strong on the outside, yet fragile at the same time. Why me then? He asked softly. Why did you come here, to this lonely station? Her answer was slow. I searched. I felt a signal. Your heart was open. Your mind was quiet. Others would fear. You did not run. You stayed. That is why I came. Aaron was silent for a moment. He thought about how he had stepped outside the station when the scanners showed movement. His training said he should have waited, but curiosity had pulled him forward. Maybe that simple choice had changed everything. He poured another cup of water and placed it in front of her. So you need me to bond with you. But I don't know what that means. You need to explain it. Nira held the cup with both hands as if it was precious. She took a slow sip, then set it down. Her glowing eyes did not leave his face. Bond is not only touch. It is not only words. It is trust. It is sharing fear and sharing hope. When two connect, our energy flows. We become strong. We live. Without bond, we fall into shadow. Her explanation was strange, but Aaron could feel the truth in it. It was like friendship or family, but deeper. Something her people had forgotten. Aaron rubbed his forehead. This is big. I don't know if I can do it. What if I fail? Nira leaned forward, her silver skin catching the light. Her translator whispered in its broken tone, if you try, you do not fail. If you turn away, then I am lost. Her words sent a chill through him. He realized how desperate she was. She had crossed space, risked everything, to stand in front of a single human. She was placing all her hope on him. Aaron took a deep breath. All right. I will try. But I need to understand you better. I need to learn about your people, about what happened. Nira nodded slowly. I will tell. She began to explain, her voice steady even though the translator sputtered. Long ago, her people had lived with strong bonds. They shared feelings, thoughts, and trust. This connection gave them unity and power. But as centuries passed, they turned to machines and logic. They began to think bond was weakness. They built walls around themselves, hiding emotions, hiding trust. Generation by generation, the bonds grew weaker until they disappeared. Now her people were empty inside. They lived long lives, but without purpose or joy. When she finished, Nira's eyes dimmed, and her voice grew soft. I do not want to fade. I do not want my people to vanish. That is why I came. That is why I beg you. What do I need to do to bond with you, human? The sudden force in her question startled Aaron. She was not only asking, she was pleading, shouting with her heart even if her voice was calm. Her silver hands gripped the edge of the chair. Aaron's chest tightened. He had never seen anyone so desperate, not even another human. Slowly, he leaned forward. Listen to me. Bonding is not something you can force. You cannot demand it. It grows with time. If you want this to work, we need to start small. We talk. We share. We help each other. That is how trust begins. Nira looked at him carefully, as if weighing his words. Then she gave a small nod. I will try. Teach me. For the first time, Aaron felt a strange warmth in the room. It was not the machines or the lights. It was the presence of another being who had chosen to trust him. He realized that she had placed her life in his hands, and that he could not turn away. That night, the two of them stayed awake, exchanging stories. Aaron told her about Earth, about blue oceans and green forests. Nira listened with wide eyes, as if each word was a treasure. In return, she told him about her world of silver plains and crystal towers, a world that had become silent without bond. As the hours passed, Aaron began to see her not just as an alien, but as someone reaching out for connection. Nira, in turn, began to copy small human habits. She tilted her head when curious, tapped the table when thinking, and even tried to smile. Her first attempt was awkward, her mouth twisting in a strange shape. Aaron laughed gently, not to mock her but because it was endearing. She grew frustrated and clenched her fists. What do I need to do to bond with you? She asked again, her voice shaking. Aaron shook his head. You already started. Just be here. Just keep trying. That is enough. The words seemed to calm her. She sat back, her glowing eyes softer than before. The station, once lonely and empty, now felt alive with a new presence. Aaron knew the days ahead would not be simple, but for the first time in months, he felt he was no longer alone. Outside, the stars burned brightly in the dark sky, silent witnesses to the first steps of a bond that could change two worlds. Morning arrived on the lonely planet. Rays of light touched the hard ground outside the research station, and the winds carried fine dust across the barren hills. Inside the station, Aaron sat at the small table, staring at the steam rising from his cup of hot drink. Across from him sat Nira, her silver skin glowing softly in the new light. It still felt unreal to him. An alien sat in his station, speaking with him, asking for something as strange as bonding. Yet here she was, holding a cup in her hands the way he had shown her, sipping slowly like she was trying to copy him. For a long moment, Erin simply watched her. She noticed and tilted her head, her glowing eyes narrowing slightly. "Why do you look?" she asked through her broken translator. Erin gave a small smile. "Because you are learning so fast. Yesterday you did not know how to hold the cup. Today you do it almost like me." Nira lowered her eyes to the cup and nodded. "I watch. I copy. That is how I learn." Erin leaned back in his chair. "But bonding is not only about copying. It is about understanding." Nira looked at him sharply. "Then teach me understanding." The words carried both command and plea. Erin thought for a moment. "All right. Let us begin with simple things. Humans show feelings. We smile when we are happy. We frown when we are sad. We laugh when something is funny. These things help us connect with others." Nira tried to shape her face into what she thought was a smile. Her lips pulled too tightly, and her eyes widened in a strange way. Erin burst into laughter, unable to hold it back. Nira slammed her hands on the table. "You mock me," her translator said, the mechanical voice sharp. Erin raised his hands quickly. "No, no, I am not mocking. It was just unexpected. You tried, and it looked different, that is all. But it was a good attempt." Nira crossed her arms, her silver skin reflecting the light, and she looked away like a child refusing to admit frustration. Erin hid his grin and softened his voice. "Do not be upset. Bonding takes time. Nobody learns in one day." Her eyes slowly returned to his, glowing softly. She gave a slight nod. "Then I will try again." The rest of the morning passed with small lessons. Erin taught her words that did not come easily through the translator. He showed her how humans used gestures with their hands when speaking, how they leaned forward when interested, and how they shook hands to greet each other. Nira tried each one carefully, sometimes clumsy but always serious. At one point, she held out her hand awkwardly. Erin took it and shook it firmly. Her eyes widened as if she felt something deep inside. "Strange," she said softly. "Touch carries more than words." Erin nodded. "Yes. That is part of bonding too." Later that day, they worked together to repair a small machine outside the station. The storm winds had damaged one of the scanners, and Erin needed to fix it quickly. Nira followed him, curious about every tool he used. She tried to help by holding parts, though sometimes too tightly, bending them by mistake. "Careful," Erin said, taking the piece gently from her hands. "You are stronger than you think." Nira looked at her hands as if surprised. "I do not feel strong. I feel weak without bond." Erin gave her a thoughtful look. "Maybe your strength is different. Physical power is not the only kind of strength." As they worked, Erin noticed that Nira watched him closely, copying the way he tightened bolts or checked readings. She wanted to learn everything, even small actions. Yet there were times when she grew frustrated. Once, when the scanner would not restart, she slammed her hand against it, making sparks fly. Erin pulled her back quickly. "Stop. You cannot force it. Machines, like people, need patience." Nira lowered her head. "I do not understand patience. My people do not wait. We act, or we do nothing." Erin shook his head with a small smile. "Then this is something new you will learn." By the time the machine was fixed, the sun had begun to sink toward the horizon. The scanner hummed to life, and Erin gave a satisfied nod. Nira stood beside him, watching the sky change colors. For a moment, there was peace. Then Nira spoke softly. "What do I need to do to bond with you, human? I try to copy. I try to help. Yet I do not feel different." Erin looked at her glowing eyes and thought carefully. "You are looking for a sudden change, but bonding is not like that. It is slow. It grows when two share trust, when they stand beside each other, when they do not run away even when mistakes happen. Nira frowned. So it is not only skill. It is not only learning. It is choice. Yes, Aaron said firmly. It is a choice, every day. That is why it matters. Her gaze lingered on him for a long moment. Then she nodded, as if she had accepted something important. That night, back inside the station, Nira tried once again to smile. This time, it was small and uneven, but it was closer to the real thing. Aaron smiled back without hesitation. For the first time, the distance between them felt smaller. Before they rested, Nira asked quietly, "Do you believe I can bond with you?" Aaron answered without doubt. "Yes. But not because you copy me. Because you are willing to try." Nira closed her eyes, and the glow within them dimmed softly, like a calm light fading. She whispered through her translator, "Then I will not stop trying." The station, once filled with silence, now carried a quiet rhythm of voices, questions, and small laughter. It was the beginning of something neither human nor alien fully understood, but both of them felt that it mattered. Outside, the stars continued to shine over the lonely planet, as if watching two very different beings take their first true steps toward trust. Days passed inside the lonely research station, and the silence that once haunted Aaron was now gone. Nira filled the rooms with questions, attempts, and mistakes that often turned into small lessons. Each morning, she copied his habits, watching how he stretched, how he checked the scanners, and how he spoke to the machines as if they were friends. To her, every detail mattered, because she believed each step brought her closer to the bond she needed. Aaron, on the other hand, found himself both amused and challenged. Teaching Nira was not simple. She learned quickly, but she did not always understand why humans did things the way they did. He realized that bonding with her was not about making her act like a human, but about helping her understand what being human truly meant. One morning, a storm alert echoed through the station. The winds of the planet were fierce, often carrying dust that damaged scanners and solar panels. Aaron prepared his tools and strapped on protective gear. Nira stood beside him, ready to follow. "You should stay inside," Aaron told her. "The winds are dangerous." Nira shook her head, her silver skin shining under the lights. "Bond is built in trial. If you face danger, I will face it with you." Her words were firm, and Aaron could not argue. Together, they stepped outside into the storm. The wind roared, and dust whipped across their suits. Aaron led the way to a damaged solar panel, the surface cracked by falling debris. Nira knelt beside him, holding parts steady as he repaired connections. At first, the teamwork went well. But then Nira, eager to prove her strength, tried to lift a heavy support beam alone. Aaron shouted, "Wait! It is too heavy." She ignored him, straining against the weight. The beam slipped, nearly crushing her leg before Aaron pulled her aside. Both of them fell into the dust, and Aaron's voice came out sharp. "You could have been hurt. You cannot do everything by yourself." Nira looked at him with glowing eyes filled with frustration. "I thought bond means standing strong." Aaron shook his head. "No. Bond means sharing the weight. You do not need to prove strength to me. You need to trust me enough to let me help." Nira was silent, her silver face unreadable, but something in her eyes softened. Together, they lifted the beam and set it into place, side by side. When the storm finally calmed, the repairs were complete. They returned to the station, dust clinging to their clothes. Inside, Nira sat quietly, her head lowered. Aaron placed a cup of water in front of her, and she looked up slowly. "You were angry," she said. "Yes," Aaron admitted, sitting across from her. "Because I do not want you hurt. Bond is not about one protecting the other alone. It is about trust on both sides." Her translator whispered, "I understand a little. I will try to trust." The next test came sooner than either of them expected. One night, the scanners detected movement again. Aaron checked the screens and saw several signals approaching the station. He frowned. They were too large to be the small animals that sometimes wandered near. Nira stood behind him, her glowing eyes narrowing as she studied the readings. "They are my people," she said quietly. Aaron turned to her. "Your people? You mean more of your kind are here?" Nira nodded slowly. "They followed me. They do not believe in bond. They will tell me to leave you." Aaron felt a chill. "And if you refuse?" She lowered her gaze. "They may not allow me to stay. They may see you as danger." Aaron clenched his fists. The idea of hostile aliens at his small station was terrifying. But when he looked at Nira, he saw the fear in her eyes was not for herself. It was for him. The signals grew closer until shapes appeared outside in the darkness. Several figures, tall and silver-skinned like Nira, stood in the dust. Their glowing eyes shone brighter, and their movements were sharp, almost cold. Aaron's heart raced as they surrounded the station. Nira stepped forward, opening the door and facing them. The wind whipped around her, but her voice through the translator was steady. "I found bond here. I will not leave." One of the aliens stepped closer, his voice cutting through the air. "You speak madness. Humans are weak. They will only bring ruin. Come back with us." Nira stood her ground. "Humans have what we lost. They have trust. They have heart. Without them, we will fade." The alien's voice grew harsh. "If you stay, you betray your people." Aaron watched from inside, his chest tight. He wanted to rush out and stand beside her, but he knew this was her choice. All he could do was trust her, just as he asked her to trust him. The standoff stretched long. The other aliens glared at Nira, their glowing eyes cold. Then, with one last warning, they turned and vanished back into the storm, their shadows fading into the night. Nira closed the door and leaned against it, her silver shoulders shaking. Aaron hurried to her side. "Are you all right?" She nodded slowly. "I chose you. I chose this path. That means I chose trust." Aaron placed a hand on her arm, steady and firm. "Then we are in this together." For the first time, Nira's strange attempt at a smile seemed real. It was small, fragile, but filled with meaning. Aaron smiled back, knowing the bond was slowly taking shape, not through rituals or demands, but through moments of trust, trial, and choice. That night, as they sat together in the dim glow of the station, Aaron realized something important. Nira had not just come to learn from him. She had come to remind him of something humans often forgot. Strength was not in standing alone. It was in standing together, even when the storm raged outside. The days after the storm were tense inside the research station. Aaron and Nira continued their lessons and small repairs, but both of them knew that more of Nira's people could return at any moment. The wind outside carried a quiet warning, and the scanners never stopped humming. Nira sat by the large window, staring at the horizon. Her silver skin reflected the dim sunlight, and her glowing eyes were serious. Aaron approached her carefully. "You are worried about your people coming back," he said softly. Nira nodded. "They do not understand. They think humans are weak. They do not believe in bond. They may come again and try to take me away." Aaron sat beside her. "Then we will face them together. You are not alone here anymore." Her glowing eyes met his. "I hope you understand. If they attack, they will not hold back. My people are strong. They are faster and smarter than humans in battle. Even you could be hurt." Aaron swallowed but did not look away. "Then we prepare. We use what we know, and we trust each other. That is what bonding means, right?" Nira's lips curved slightly, almost a smile. "Yes. That is what bond means." That evening, the scanners detected multiple large shapes moving quickly toward the station. Aaron rushed to the control panel. They are coming. Many of them this time. Nira stood beside him, her glowing eyes fixed on the approaching figures. They want me to leave. They will try to take me by force. Aaron nodded. Then we defend the station. We do not fight to destroy. We fight to protect. The first figures appeared outside. Tall, silver-skinned aliens with sharp features and glowing eyes surrounded the station. Their movements were precise, almost mechanical. One of them stepped forward and shouted through a translator, "Nira, return with us. You betray your people by trusting a human." Nira's voice was steady. "I do not betray. I choose bond. I choose trust. I will not leave." The aliens advanced, but Aaron had prepared. Small barriers and shields surrounded the station. He worked the controls, activating defensive lights and alarms. Sparks flew as the shields created a protective dome around them. The aliens tried to break through, striking the barriers with their strength. Nira stood beside Aaron, guiding him on how to adjust the shields quickly. "They are strong," she said. "You need to act fast." Aaron nodded, working with speed and focus. He realized that Nira was not only helping him with strength, but also with knowledge of her people's movements. Together, they formed a plan, anticipating each attack. One alien climbed over the barrier, reaching toward the station door. Nira reacted instantly, pushing it back with a strength that surprised Aaron. Sparks flew, and the figure stumbled. "Be careful!" Aaron shouted. Nira's translator whispered, "I protect. I bond." The battle continued, the night filled with sound and light. Aaron worked the station's defenses, and Nira used her speed and knowledge to block the intruders. Every movement required trust. Aaron could not act without Nira guiding him, and Nira could not act without Aaron's tools and planning. At one point, an alien managed to break through a weaker part of the shield. Nira ran forward, placing herself between Aaron and the attacker. She pushed it back with her body, risking herself. Aaron grabbed her arm and steadied her. "Are you all right?" She nodded, though her body trembled slightly. "Yes. I must stand with you. Bond is tested in trial." The others, seeing the strength of their bond, hesitated. Nira's glow became brighter, almost like a shield of light surrounding her. The aliens paused, confused by the display. They had never seen bond before, and they did not understand it. Aaron saw the hesitation and acted quickly. He adjusted the station controls, sending a signal that created a bright flash of light around the station. The aliens, startled and unprepared for this, retreated for a moment. Nira turned to Aaron. "Your mind is clever. Humans are clever. I see why my people need this. I understand why you are special." Aaron smiled slightly, though his heart still raced. "We are special when we trust each other. That is what bond does." The aliens, realizing that their strength alone could not break the station's defenses and the bond between Aaron and Nira, finally withdrew into the night. Their glowing eyes dimmed as they disappeared over the horizon. Nira leaned against Aaron, her body still glowing faintly. "They will return," she said softly. "But now I know we can face them together." Aaron placed a hand on her arm. "Then we will face them. Bond is not just for one day. It grows stronger with each choice. We chose each other tonight. That is enough to start." Nira's eyes softened, the faint glow of relief and trust filling them. "Then I am no longer afraid. I have found strength in bond, even with a human." The night grew quiet again, the storm passed, and the stars shone brightly over the lonely planet. Aaron and Nira sat together, understanding that their connection had been tested. It was not perfect, and it would not be easy. But it had begun. Nira looked at the stars and whispered through her translator, "Bond is more than physical strength. It is trust, courage, and heart. I have learned this tonight. Aaron nodded. And I have learned something too. Humans have a power that even strong beings from other worlds cannot ignore. The power to trust, to care, and to stand together. That is what makes us human. Myra's small smile returned, this time warmer and more confident. She realized that the bond they shared was real, something stronger than fear or doubt. They had faced a true threat together and survived because of their trust and cooperation. Outside, the stars continued to shine over the quiet landscape. Inside, the research station no longer felt empty. It was alive with hope, courage, and the beginnings of a bond that could change not only Myra's life, but the future of her people as well. The morning after the alien attack was calm, but both Aaron and Myra knew it was only a temporary peace. The night had tested them in ways neither had expected. Their bond, fragile yet growing, had been challenged by fear, strength, and the threat of Myra's people. Now, they needed to understand what that bond truly meant. Aaron moved around the station, checking equipment and repairing the minor damage from the battle. Myra followed, her glowing eyes attentive, her movements careful. Every tool he picked up, every wire he connected, she watched closely. She no longer tried to copy him blindly. Instead, she observed, understood, and learned. "You are different today," Aaron said, noticing the subtle changes. "Yesterday you followed. Today, you act with thought." Myra looked at him with a small smile. "Trust gives clarity. I trust you. I trust our bond. That makes me stronger." Aaron nodded, feeling warmth in his chest. Bond was more than a concept now. It was real. Every shared glance, every coordinated movement, every moment of patience and care had built something neither of them could ignore. Suddenly, alarms rang through the station. Aaron rushed to the control panel, with Myra close behind. Multiple signals approached from the horizon. The same aliens from before were coming, and this time, they were faster and more numerous. "They are back," Myra said calmly, her voice steady. "They will not stop until they take me." Aaron took a deep breath. "Then we protect each other. We do not run. We face this together." Myra nodded. She placed her hand on the control panel and focused. Her silver skin glowed faintly as she seemed to channel energy into the station's defenses. Aaron noticed that her glow was brighter than ever before. Something had changed inside her. The aliens arrived in full force, circling the station. They struck at the barriers, trying to break through. Aaron managed the shields while Myra moved swiftly, pushing attackers back when they tried to reach him. Every moment demanded perfect coordination. Neither could act alone. One alien leaped over the shield, reaching toward Aaron. Myra reacted instantly, placing herself between Aaron and the intruder. Sparks flew as the alien collided with her glowing form. She stumbled slightly, but she did not fall. Aaron ran to her side, gripping her arm to steady her. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "I am fine," Myra said, though her voice trembled slightly. "I must protect you. That is what bond is." Aaron's heart swelled. He realized that bond was not just trust or cooperation. It was sacrifice, courage, and willingness to face danger together. Myra had risked herself for him, just as he had risked his life for her in the storm. The battle raged on, the night filled with sound, light, and energy. Aaron adjusted the station's defenses, while Myra blocked every alien that came too close. They moved like one being, anticipating each other's actions without speaking. Their bond had become their strength. Suddenly, a massive alien broke through one of the shields. It rushed toward Aaron, faster than any of the others. Myra's glow flared brightly as she leaped in front of him. The impact knocked her to the ground, and sparks flew from the shield. Aaron lunged forward, pulling her to her feet. "You are stronger than I thought," he said, gripping her hand. "But you do not need to face them alone." Myra looked at him, her glowing eyes shining with determination. Bond is tested in trial. If I do not act, we do not survive. This is the moment. Aaron understood. He took her other hand, and for the first time, he felt a surge of energy pass between them. It was not physical, but emotional. A warmth, a connection, a power neither had expected. Myra's glow intensified, spreading across her body, surrounding the station with a protective light. The aliens recoiled, stunned by the sudden brilliance. They had never seen Bond in action. Strength alone could not match this. They hesitated, their coordinated attack faltering. Aaron and Myra moved together, side by side. They did not speak, but every glance and gesture was perfectly understood. The station's lights reflected their energy, creating a shield that no alien could penetrate. Their bond had become more than trust. It was unity, courage, and strength combined. One by one, the aliens retreated, their glowing eyes dimming as they disappeared over the horizon. The night fell silent once more, the stars above witnessing the bond that had been tested and proven. Myra fell to her knees, exhausted but glowing softly. Aaron knelt beside her, holding her hands firmly. "You did it," he said. "We did it together." She looked up at him, her glowing eyes filled with gratitude and awe. "I understand now. Bond is not only trust or patience. It is sharing strength. It is standing together, even when fear is strong. I feel it, because of you." Aaron smiled. "And I feel it too. Humans have many powers, but this one, the power to trust, to care, to bond, it is what makes us strong. You reminded me of that." For a long moment, they simply sat together, the warmth of the bond surrounding them. Myra's glow slowly dimmed to a calm shine, no longer trembling or flickering. She had found what her people had lost. "Your people will understand," Aaron said. "They will see that bond is not weakness. It is power. And they will learn, just like you did." Myra nodded, her small smile genuine for the first time. "Yes. I will return and teach them. But I will not forget this moment. Not you. Not Bond." The stars above shone brightly over the quiet planet. Inside the research station, two very different beings sat together, knowing that their lives had changed forever. The trials, the fear, the danger had all led to this. They had found strength in each other. They had discovered the true meaning of bond. Aaron realized that this bond was more than survival. It was hope. It was courage. It was the beginning of a new understanding between humans and Myra's people. Myra's glow dimmed gently as she rested beside him. "Tomorrow," she whispered through the translator, "we begin to teach others. But tonight, we remember what bond is." Aaron nodded, looking out at the stars. "And I will remember too. Humans have a special power. Bond is one of them. You have reminded me why we are strong." The night settled over the station. Outside, the quiet planet seemed peaceful once more. Inside, bond had become real, unbreakable, and shining brightly between two beings from different worlds. The morning sun rose over the quiet planet, casting a warm glow over the research station. Aaron and Myra sat together at the small table, sipping their drinks in calm silence. The events of the past days weighed on them both, but there was a sense of peace now. The bond they had built in trials, danger, and trust had grown strong. It was no longer fragile or uncertain. Myra looked at Aaron, her silver skin shimmering softly in the morning light. "I understand now," she said through her translator. "Bond is not only for protection. It is for life. It is for hope." Aaron nodded, smiling gently. "Yes. It is more than strength. It is courage, trust, and sharing. You have taught me that humans are strong not just with their hands, but with their hearts." Myra tilted her head, observing him carefully. "Then my people can learn too. They can remember what they have lost. They can understand bond through me." Aaron leaned back and studied the horizon. The storms and the dangers of the past had left the planet quiet for now, but the future was unknown. It will not be easy, he said. Your people may resist. They may fear change. But you are ready. You have seen what Bond can do. Myra's glowing eyes reflected determination. Yes. And I will teach them. I will show them that trust is not weakness, and connection is power. I will not forget what I learned here. The next hours were spent in preparation. Aaron and Myra worked together to repair the station fully and to ensure the scanners were ready to detect any incoming signals. Myra studied each process carefully, learning not only human tools but also strategies for cooperation. She understood that Bond was not a simple lesson to teach her people. It was a demonstration of patience, courage, and shared effort. By evening, the first signs of Myra's people appeared on the horizon. Aaron and Myra stood side by side, ready. The aliens approached slowly, their glowing eyes filled with suspicion. But Myra stepped forward, her glowing form bright against the setting sun. She did not raise her voice in anger or fear. Instead, she stood calmly, radiating the confidence she had gained through Bond. My people, she called through the translator. I have learned what we lost. I have found it with a human. We can survive and thrive, not through isolation, but through connection. Trust is power, and courage is strength. Watch, and understand. The aliens paused, clearly taken aback. They had not expected her to speak with such certainty. Some lowered their heads slightly, hesitant. Myra held out her hands toward Aaron, showing unity. Aaron stepped forward as well, standing beside her. You see us, he said calmly. We are different, yet together. We can learn from each other. Humans are not weak. We build strength through trust, cooperation, and care. This is what Bond can do. A tense silence followed. The aliens moved slowly, observing the connection between Aaron and Myra. They could see the unspoken trust, the coordination in movement, and the calm confidence in each action. Slowly, one of the older aliens stepped forward. If Bond brings this strength, then perhaps we have been wrong. We have only feared what we did not understand. Myra's glow brightened. It is not weakness to trust. It is power. I have learned this. You can learn it too. Other aliens began to step closer, their glowing eyes softening. They examined the station, the shields, and the calm teamwork between human and alien. They saw that the station had been protected not only by force but by cooperation, understanding, and trust. The moment marked a change. Myra's people no longer spoke in anger or accusation. They asked questions, cautious and curious. Myra answered each one carefully, explaining what she had learned about Bond. Aaron supported her, demonstrating small lessons of cooperation, patience, and shared effort. Hours passed as trust slowly replaced fear. The aliens began to try simple gestures of cooperation among themselves, inspired by Myra's example. They tested their strength not against each other, but alongside each other. Myra's glow pulsed with quiet pride. Aaron watched her, understanding that humans had given her people hope in a way no one else could. By nightfall, the first group of aliens had begun to work together, rebuilding parts of the station alongside Aaron and Myra. Laughter, cautious but real, echoed through the halls. The bond Myra had created was not only with Aaron, but with her people. The lessons of trust, courage, and patience were beginning to take root. Myra turned to Aaron, her glowing eyes soft and filled with gratitude. You have shown us what humans can do. You have reminded my people that connection is strength. I will not forget you. Aaron shook his head gently. It was not just me. It was Bond. We built it together. You have the power to teach it now. That is what matters. The stars above the quiet planet shone brightly, reflecting in Myra's silver eyes. She smiled fully now, without hesitation, a smile that spoke of hope, courage, and new beginnings. Aaron smiled back, knowing that humanity's special power had once again changed the course of another world. As the night deepened, the research station was alive with quiet activity. Myra's people had begun to learn from humans. They worked together, shared ideas, and even helped repair small sections of the planet's communication systems. Myra's glow pulsed softly with pride and joy. She had found bond, not only with Aaron, but with her own kind. Aaron watched her for a long moment. He realized that humans were strong in ways that machines or weapons could never match. They were strong because they could care, trust, and stand together in the face of danger. Myra had reminded him of this truth, and together they had shown an entire alien race the power of humanity. Finally, Myra stood with Aaron on the station's balcony, looking out at the stars and the quiet hills. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "we will continue teaching. But tonight, we remember. Tonight, we know bond is real, and it is strong." Aaron nodded. "And humanity will always have that power. Bond, trust, courage. That is who we are." The night settled over the planet. The storms had passed. The aliens had begun to change. And within the quiet research station, a human and an alien sat side by side, connected in ways neither could have imagined before. It was a new beginning for Myra, her people, and the humans who reached across the stars. And it was a reminder that even in the vastness of the universe, trust, courage, and bond could create a strength greater than anything else.